Coming up today on the Nice Guys on Business.
Realistically, I think it's like getting in and then it's just kind of the waiting game. It's what can you do to improve your property? What can you do to, a lot of people get into a home and they're like, okay, well, if we sell it, we'll fix that. Or if we, once we get to that point, we'll do that. And I'm like, do the projects now. Save up your money, make a budget for yourself, do it while you live there. Then you enjoy the home and the space that you live in.
Oh, Toto, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. Well, except maybe the Nice Guys on Business podcast. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by Turnkey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, welcome back, Nice Guy community. Let's take a tour into the real estate market today. My guest is Briana Allred. She's a rock star realtor with over 13 years of experience, and together with her partner and husband, they've conquered investment ventures, construction projects, and even built their own dream home. Briana not only is about the awards, because, you can win awards and you can be really good in real estate, things like the Realtor 500 and Power Professional, but she is all about building relationships with clients, guiding them through the professionalism and with a dash of kindness that she probably throws in there too. You'll see what I mean in just a minute. Plus, with her background in construction, she's got all the tricks up her sleeve to make those real estate dreams come true for those in our community that are thinking about maybe building their own home and in her market. Tune in for a fun chat today. Briana, welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
I've had a couple of chances to listen to you on another podcast, and I've seen some promo that's put out, by I guess either your team or their teams. One of the things that comes through in all of the messaging that you've put together is you really are like a nice person. Although all this experience, I said to you, hey, what would be a win for you right before I hit record? And you said, hey, I just want to educate you. There's no direct win for me necessarily. I just want to help other people in doing what they do. So can we talk about that for a second, and then we'll get into some of the content here?
Yeah, 100%. For sure.
Let's talk about it.
So, my biggest thing, and I guess my goal in my industry, is to help protect consumers. I feel like there's so many landfills in everything, construction, real estate, and helping people navigate that so they don't end up in really crappy situations. It always hurts my heart when they're like, oh yeah, I got out of buying a home because we totally lost all this money and it was just this really bad experience, So construction, real estate, any expertise or mistakes that I've made that I can kind of lend a hand to somebody, I love that.
All right, what came first, chicken or the egg? Were you in construction and then got into real estate, or were you into real estate and got into construction, or were you into investment funding and all of that before all of that came through? What was the order, the sequence of how you got involved in the business?
I think all of the above. My husband's in wealth management, and so before we even got married, we started investing in our first real estate property together. And his thing was, hey, some of the richest people I have ever met invest in real estate. And I was like, okay, that's, I guess, what we're doing. And my core of my being at that time was very conservative, buy a house, pay it off, live there forever. And he completely flipped my world around, and I get it now. You know what I mean? But it's not without like trials and tribulation and tenacity and work. Like it still takes a ton of work to do what we're doing and be successful at it. And I think that's what people sometimes don't quite understand when they get into real estate. They're like, yeah, buy a property, rent it out. It's just going to sit there. That's great. Build some equity. You know what I mean? But it's a lot of work to build wealth with real estate. And I want to help people learn how to do that, but you have to want to do it. You know?
Right, so talk to my community for a second. For those that have never invested in real estate, even their own primary property, do you start with your own primary residence? Do you start with an investment property? Do you look at something and say, hey, I'm going to buy that property that's right now undervalued that I know has a bigger value, and I'm going to put some work into it and flip it? Like, where do you even begin when you're talking to a newbie in the world of real estate?
Yeah, I think that it starts with figuring out what their capabilities are, what they are wanting to accomplish, and how much they're willing to invest into it.
Mhm.
Right. So everybody's goals and capabilities are completely different. For some people, it is, I need it. And that's just how it was for us in the beginning. Buy a home. We're going to finish the basement. We rented out the basement. You know what I mean? We offset mortgages that way. And when we went to go sell some of those homes, we made good money on it. We held them for a while, we improved them, and with the market increasing over time, we made money and we invested into another one. Then we got a little bit more um, into fixing up things. We trialed. One of our kind of big turning moments was we bought a dumpy condo downtown. It was small, it was manageable in size because some of the homes we bought were huge and it just
Yeah.
felt overwhelming.
Hmm.
But this little dumpy condo, we got it for 110. We put 30 grand into it. A couple years later, we sold it for 250. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Doubled your
So it's
money.
like, yeah, totally. But it took work and it took time. And in the meantime, we're like, we're just gonna rent it out. And our style is not really, for us personally, is like the quick turn and flip, right?
Right.
We don't go in and hurry and fix it up and then sell it because I feel like, I mean, for us, that's like a stressful way of doing it. For
Oh,
us, it's
yeah.
more of long term, fix it up, make it what we would want. And then when the time is right and we're done, we want to invest in something else, offload it.
I'm a big proponent in slow and steady wins the race. I can think about a property that I had when I lived in New Jersey and we moved. I got married and then we moved from that property and we needed to rent it out. It was being rented at a $600 a month loss because that's what the market was doing. I held on to it for about 3 years at that $600 a month loss. And I actually came to the settlement table with a check for $30,000 after spending $600 extra every month on that mortgage payment. Now,
Oh,
slow and steady wins the race was not my strategy back then. It was I've got to figure out how to stop the bleeding on this house. Had I just
right.
held on to it for a handful more of years, I would have realized, and again, crystal ball, looking back, hindsight's 2020. Amazon built a warehouse literally 20 miles from that house, and property values skyrocketed. So this $120,000 property became $300,000 had I just held on to it for a few more years. Yes, bit the bullet and paid that $600, but you have to think about slow and steady wins the race, even if you don't feel that way when you're in it. I'd love your comments about something like that.
Right, right. And I think that is, I mean, I'm a big proponent when I'm helping clients shop for something, get something you can afford.
Hmm.
Get
Hmm.
something that you can afford. You're not super stressed holding because, I mean, life circumstances change. You can't always control everything for sure, but, job losses or whatever. But if you can afford and hang on to it, it doesn't matter what the market's doing. You know what I
Totally.
mean? If it's down, then you wait, and even in my current real estate right now, I'm finishing my basement because I'm like, we're not using that basement. I should finish it and let someone rent it because that
Mm.
makes sense. I mean, I've got another house and I should figure out how to rent half of that one too.
I
So
can I can hear my Uncle Morris, who is no longer on this earth, but I'm hearing him from the afterlife speak to me when I was a younger guy. And he goes, Douglas, you need to have real estate because he was a big proponent of buying commercial properties. Even a small commercial property is worth gold. And I started to slowly invest in real estate. Bought my primary residence, had a rental property. Now I'm involved in several commercial real estate projects, which are great because it's a bigger group and it offsets some of the risk a little bit for me. Um, but when is it, if there is a when is it ever not the right time? Like right now, as of February 15th of 2024, we're looking at rates that are much higher than when they were 3% or even 2.5%. They're closer to 7 and then some percent. Property values are at a historic high right now.
yeah.
Mortgage rates are a little bit higher also. Not at all. I can't believe that. I mean, even when think 7% is a high rate because 15 years ago it was like, oh my God, if I could only get 7%.
Yeah.
So when is it ever too late, or is it never too late?
I would say never too late. Now, I do have my preferences of when I purchase my real estate.
Hmm.
So, no matter what, over the entire history of the MLSs, you can see that the prices of homes tend to go down in the fall and the winter. and
Mm-hmm.
they pop up in the spring and the summer because that's when people are, ready to move between school seasons or they're out and about. People don't want to be moving in the middle of winter. So I like to pick up a property when it's wet, cold, and dreary, or people are
Mm-hmm.
distracted by the holidays. You know what I mean? That makes my negotiating power better. And people are like, "Oh, we're going to wait for the interest rates to go down right now," and I get that thinking if it's affecting your purchasing power, but the problem is once those interest rates, if and when they go down, um, people are waiting for that. And what is that going to do to purchase prices? You know what I
Yep.
mean? Are
Yep.
you basically negating any waiting you're doing? Could you negotiate something better now? I mean, everybody's always trying to time the market,
Yeah.
and it's never exactly perfect. I have my times of year that I like to purchase, but realistically, I think it's like getting in and then it's just kind of the waiting game. It's what can you do to improve your property? What can you do to, a lot of people get into a home and they're like, okay, well, if we sell it, we'll fix that. Or if we, once we get to that point, we'll do that. And I'm like, do the projects now. Save up your money, make a budget for yourself, do it while you live there. Then you enjoy the home and the space that you live in.
Isn't it amazing? I remember selling one of our houses. This is going back probably 15 years ago. And when we were about to sell it, the real estate agent came in and said, "Hey, here's the 5 things that you need to do." And one of the things was you need to modernize the bathroom. You need to do some of this work in the kitchen. You need to fit. And I'm thinking, if I wanted to do all that stuff, I should have done it while I lived in it and enjoyed it. Why am I I'm literally putting in marble countertops for the next owner. I'm
I
like,
know.
what am I doing? What did I do wrong? Now, he was right. We ended up getting considerably more for that property than other properties that we're selling in the neighborhood. And by the way, we had the smallest house in the neighborhood, which is actually the best type of house to have in a more expensive neighborhood,
Yeah.
is have the smallest one, because people will tend to want to get into that neighborhood for the schools, for the neighbors, for the socioeconomic side of it. So uh, I'm really curious about there's two sides of this business. One is the people side, the emotional side, and the other
Right.
side is the transaction or the financial side. You do a really good job, as it appears on paper and on your website and on all your social media stuff. You do a really good job focusing more on the people than the transaction. Can you talk about or comment about that? Because I think that's probably one of your strengths, and we haven't even spoken about that. I know we've got a lot more to talk about, but tell me about that.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, you might have that backwards.
Well, it's
Like,
what's facing the customer. It's the side
right,
that you want.
right,
You want the human side to
exactly.
face the customer. So okay. So
So
share
so
with
I
me.
I have a very analytic brain. And, my husband would make fun of me and say that he says, I think you hold more in your brain than you let people see. you know, he's like, the bomb may be going off in your brain, but I don't think anybody knows. So I very much enjoy learning the contracts and understanding how to negotiate well and how to protect clients.
Hmm.
So when I got into real estate, that was kind of my main focus was, you join a brokerage and they're like, "Hey, go get your first deal." And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't even know how to fill out a contract." You know what I mean? Like, you can't throw me to the wolves like this. So my big thing was really studying and knowing how to basically protect my clients in any situation.
Hmm.
From the emotional and interactions with my clients, my background, I'm actually an ICU nurse.
Okay.
So I
Wow.
have a background that's very different than most agents. And I am very good at, my history of dealing with high stress and people in their worst situations of their lives. And so real estate is almost just like an extension of that because these are some of the most stressful things that people are dealing with in their financial beings of their life. And so helping them navigate that, being able to stay calm, being able to work through whatever comes up and either reassure or give the options or
Hmm.
things like that, I think makes a big deal. And it's even hard for agents. You know what I mean? I've had agents call me crying in the middle of a transaction because their clients are stressed out. And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk through this. This is how you can reassure them because
Right.
this is what's happening. So I feel like, yeah, I do have that naturally based on my history of my work life.
I love that. And I'm curious, what percentage of your business is related to real estate as an agent versus real estate construction as opposed to any other side projects that you and your husband, and I want to talk about that relationship in a moment as well. But if you had to if you had to put it on a scale, what takes the majority of your time during your course of your week?
My real estate as an agent.
Got it.
I manage my projects in between, and I think that those projects benefit my clients because anything I do lends experience. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Like even just the most recent of building this Park City house and all the stuff that I learned, I wasn't actually expecting to run the project myself fully, but due to some lack of, my builder, I
Mm-hmm.
got to run the entire project. I got to learn about how to permit with Summit County. I got to schedule inspections and be at each one with the inspectors. And I learned way more than I anticipated. And my husband's like, well, look at that. Somebody else didn't do their job and you learned how to build a house.
Yeah, out of adversity comes necessity and the action items behind it. So it sounds like through their inability to do an effectual job, you had to take over and do it yourself.
Right, right. But I learned a ton, and I've got great subs that I pulled out of it. You know what I mean? I'm able to represent my clients better with that. I have a client that calls me up and says, my friend needs a water heater. And I'm like, okay, great. And she's like, somebody quoted him $5,000. Is that a good price?
Oh my gosh. I'm
I was
like,
like,
no, that's
no,
not a good
no,
price.
no. I'm like, no, stop now. Like, run.
I can imagine you as a home inspector probably you could probably do a really stellar job as a home inspector too, because you see all the internal systems within a construction project and a home.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever want that job because I
Understood.
feel like it's a pretty rough job to have. And everyone's always like, well, it passed inspection. And I'm like, have you ever worked with the inspectors? Do you really think they can catch everything?
So I want to ask you a question because this is related to your job as the customer support and servicing of the position that you're in. I want to say it gently for those in our community that know that sales is a head game sometimes, and I'm sure that Briana has to deal with that with her clients as well. But w- would you consider yourself to a degree a psychologist when it comes to your position?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I feel like a lot of it is managing expectations, emotions. I think communication is huge. I think the unknown of what people can come up with their own imagination is far worse than the reality a lot of the time. So if I can
Mm-hmm.
keep them updated through the process, let them know what the next steps are going to be, what their options are,
Yeah.
it really dampens kind of what they can come up with themselves.
Talk to me about the relationship that you and your husband have as it relates to the partnership in business. How many projects do you typically have going on at one time? It sounds like he has his own position as a wealth manager. It sounds like you have your positions in real estate, and together you guys do some construction and investment together. Is that summarize it
Yeah,
well?
yeah, yeah. He has the stability that allows me to kind of flourish, in my realm, which is great. And he loves real estate. He would do it himself if it didn't conflict with his own
Mm-hmm.
licensures and stuff. But he does really well and is a great coach in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? Because when he talked to me, he actually got me into being an agent originally and said, I think you should do this. And I was like, I'm not sure about that. I've gone to school and I know what I'm doing. And I said, and I'm not a salesperson. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? My core is to help people.
Well, your
And
your consultative selling is a form of selling. So you are a salesperson. You just do it in a consultative way. So you're bringing to light a lot of the things that people need to hear in order to make a decision. And when they make the decision, you're on the receiving end if they say yes, they want to move forward. So in a way,
right.
you are a salesperson. But I appreciate the fact that that's not really what you feel like you do because you're not approaching things from a I'm going to close you, or this is
Right.
a transaction and I'm only looking at the money. I feel like you do count on the, you are concerned about the people in the process.
Right. And his thing was the advice that he gave me at that time when I told him I don't want to be a salesperson, right? He said, "Do you believe in what you're selling?"
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Do you believe that it's good for them?" He said, "You're not going to sell anybody on something that's not going to be good for them." So he's like, "You're not really a salesperson. You're helping people in the process that you already believe in.
Totally.
And that totally helped my brain rewire. And that's exactly how I approach my business. You know what I mean?
So when I go back to the original conversation that I had with you, whether it was before today or right before I hit record, because I think you've repeated a couple of things in my head that I'm hearing over and over again. I was thinking, well, here is a person that is regional, meaning you have a real estate business that serves a specific community in the Salt Lake City area or Utah, or
Hmm.
where in that
Yeah. Of Salt Lake, Utah County, Summit County, Davis.
so somebody in our community might say, well, what purpose or what importance is there for her to talk to a community that's international, like on our Nice Guys on Business podcast? And you gave me a really good answer. And again, I'll repeat the answer that I gave a little bit earlier, is that you just want to educate. How do you find that using the podcast to where do you find using a podcast to your advantage? Let me ask that.
Yeah. Yeah. Ultimately, even though I'm working regionally, I get referrals I've helped people from California. I just got a referral from Chicago. You know what I mean? Like people are relocating now all over. And I don't know if people know what our laws are like here, but being in the construction industry, there are a lot of parts that are not consumer protective.
Mhm.
Like a big thing that I'm pushing right now is I'm trying to reach out to our representatives regarding mechanics liens. I mean, they call it something else now. I can't remember off the top of my head, but when you hire someone to do a job and you pay them in full, and then you get a lien on your house and you're like, how did that happen? This is from a company I've never
Mhm.
ever seen, met, whatever. I didn't hire this company. Well, that's how our system is actually set up.
Mm.
It's crazy. So understanding like even the basics of, are you going to do a project on your house? Give me a call. Let me give you the rundown. Let me tell you how to protect yourself so that you don't get surprised like I've been with how
Mhm.
much construction I've done. You know what I mean? Like, and know how to protect yourself and not deal with lawsuits with companies you don't even know. So
Totally
just
get it.
simple
Okay.
things like that.
If someone in our community was interested in having a conversation with you just to get some details, or they're thinking about moving to, specifically, what area do you work in so people can kind of get an idea
So
geographically?
I have a house in the Salt Lake area and in the Park City area.
Got it. Okay. So if you're, and you practice real estate in both of those areas.
Yep.
Okay. So if someone is thinking about moving or investing in one of those two areas, it would be a good idea to get in touch with Briana. What's the best way for them to do that?
Usually by phone. I'm really good at answering. It's 801-634-7508. They can always follow me on Instagram at Utah Real Estate _Briana.Allred. And just follow along with whatever I'm doing along there.
Okay, and we'll make sure we put both that phone number, which I have, and the link that you just mentioned in our show notes as well. So those in our community that are interested in taking advantage of that can do that. Briana, I so appreciate you sharing. Is there something that I'm not asking you that you think was important for me to get out to my community? Because this would be all your opportunity right now.
Oh, I think you've done a great job. I think this was a great conversation. Thank you so much.
All right, so that I'm 1 for 1 then. First episode, I'm doing good out of the gate for those in our community. Thanks for listening in. We appreciate you being here. Geez, where am I? Nice Guy community. Thanks again for participating in the episode. Be sure to check the show notes for all the information about Briana. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. They have listeners in other countries? I didn't think anyone was listening outside of their house. Except maybe their moms.